Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another session of Living World of Darkness, Camarilla venue, New York by night. Tonight, we find Ghost and Limey propping up the bar of Cole's Cellar as they are wont to do. And Limey has invited Ghost on a little bit of, he's got a little bit of information which has disturbed him somewhat. And he wants to run it by her. And of course, whenever anything vaguely dangerous or perilous comes up in the city, it's always safe to inform the sheriff. So he's also given Frank Green a call to fill him in on the details. So without further ado, let's get into the scene. Ghost, you are sat with Limey at the bar.
Yeah, Ghost. She turned up a little bit later than you asked her to, and she's fairly covered up for her. She's wearing a hooded jacket, and the hood's pulled over her head, and a pair of sunglasses. And it's not difficult to notice that she's moving with a little bit of discomfort.
So you don't want me to make a test or anything?
No,
Like
it's not difficult
it's
to
fair
notice.
to say she's in a bit of a pet.
You know her well enough to know her. A, that she doesn't look comfortable, and B, her body language is more stiff than usual.
Well, Limey kind of, sort of looks up from his drink and glances sideways at Ghost, and he sort of says, "You alright? You look a bit, I don't know, bedraggled."
Is there anyone else in the bar other than you?
Yeah. There's people moving around. Like it's middle of the week, so it's pretty. It's relatively quiet. There's a lot of people in booths, and there's like a band on stage playing some sort of like a smooth jazz number. But at the bar, people aren't, that people are sort of. There's a couple of people that they're sort of absorbed in their drinks or their conversation.
She takes off her glasses briefly, or lowers them, and you can see red marks around her eye socket and over her cheekbone.
He sort of raises an eyebrow. Fuck me, what happened to you?
Fire.
Fire.
Yeah.
Ghost, what have you been doing? And he stares back down into his drink.
She puts her hands on the bar. We went round to Mr. Peck's restaurant, and someone had booby trapped it.
Someone booby trapped the boiler room.
Yeah.
And I assume Mr. Peck wasn't there.
No.
That's really not good. That's really, really not good. There are several people out of booms. He kind of stares down into his drink with more intensity, like, he like with the like there is a palpable air of sorrow around him. So did you find anything?
No, I didn't really stick around once the fire started.
Don't blame you. What were you looking for? Just seeing what happened to the geezer?
Well, he's been missing, hasn't he? Apparently, I only found this out today. She takes out a cigarette and lights it.
Limey kind of glances at her and he's like, "Hey, you can't smoke in here." And he gives, like, in this mood, what can count as a grin.
She normally Ghost would be fairly good-humoured, she would, but right now she's kind of really pissed off. And she just sort of looks at you like you can't see her eye expression behind the sunglasses, but she sort of looks at you for a minute and carries on.
Limey kind of sort of glances downwards and stubs his own cigarette out on the ashtray. So, yeah, I mean, there's a reason I invited you here, but we'll wait until Frank turns up to discuss it properly.
Sure.
All right then. From outside, you can hear Frank Green's familiar vehicle. He will definitely go through the security checks that you definitely have up. Pretty much give his sign. Yeah, it's me again.
Yeah, the bouncer.
I'm starting to get on the first name basis with bouncer at this moment.
Yeah, the bouncer's called Bob. He's got a wife and 2 kids. He's a nice guy. And as he sees you, he kind of jerks a thumb over his shoulder. He's like, "Yeah, I know, mate. Go on in."
Thanks, Bob. Have a nice night.
Will do. He sticks his hand in his pockets and kind of bobs on his heels.
Simply goes ahead that long corridor down those steps into the coal cellar proper.
As Frank walks down into the dim lighting of the jazz bar, in the exact place that you found them last time, you'll see Ghost and Limey kind of propped up at the far end of the bar. They appear to be in relatively deep conversation.
Frank Green, for his part, is simply going to go ahead and again do the circumvent navigation down towards the bar. And okay, which one looks more downtrodden at the moment?
Well, Ghost, really, because Limey just looks like he usually does. He's just staring into a drink. But you'd definitely say that, I don't know, if you had to make an educated guess, Ghost looks less laid back than usual.
Uja. Right. He's actually going to go ahead and walk over to Limey's side and just simply take a seat next to him at the bar, sitting on the stool. Go ahead and rap on the table. What's up?
Right, Frank, how you doing, mate?
Oh, I've had better nights, but...
Yeah. Seems to be the recurring theme this evening. Yeah, what's got you down?
What's got me down? Well, I was contacted by our little friend. Frank Green says he goes ahead and actually elevates its hand to approximately the height of our very, very short Nosferatu friend and says, yeah, our little friend passed on me some information that was disturbing and not very helpful.
I hate to do this to you, Frank, but I'm about to twist your mellow big style.
No, it's not like I haven't suffered a 1-2 punch before.
Yeah. Maybe this isn't the best place to discuss it. Let's head through. And yeah, he doesn't need to say where they're going because everyone's been there by now. Limey kind of gives Ghost just a brief and very light pat on the shoulder, and sort of jerks his head towards the back room.
Yeah, she stands up and follows you.
Frank Green will follow as likewise.
Yeah, Limey kind of goes to the place and he opens the door, and sorry, what I'm saying. Yeah, that's right. He opens the door and says, "After you."
Frank Green will go ahead and go in first and try to find himself a comfy place at one of the sofas, actually. He's going to try to spread his legs out.
Yeah, you head on to the black leather sofa. It's the worn seat is is sort of the place you're looking for. And yeah, you have either the rest of the sofa to prop your feet up on, or the coffee table. Uh, yeah, and from what you know of Limey, he doesn't really seem like the type of man.
I'll go ahead and do the coffee table, just so somebody else can go ahead and sit next to him if he really wants to.
Yeah, Limey sort of scooches into the room and kind of slouches down into an armchair. He kind of, makes himself a bit comfy and works out a few knots in his shoulders as he kind of nestles down.
Ghost goes ahead and takes a seat. She sort of eases herself into it very carefully, and then sort of, she's stiff. She sort of leans back in the chair, wincing slightly, but seems to be holding herself up okay.
Limey kind of gives Ghost, he shoots her a very brief glance where it's like, is she okay? And then he realizes that Ghost would not like to catch Limey pitying her, so he kind of averts his gaze to Green, and he kind of steeples his fingers. So, how about you tell me what the Nosferatu told you first?
Well, this is what Frank Green does. Frank Green goes ahead and he simply pulls out what seems to be a vanilla envelope. He does so, and he simply, let's see, goes ahead and lays it on the table. There is a single tie that's keeping this envelope flap closed, and he just goes ahead and pushes it in your general direction, saying, these are some photographs that were forwarded to me by our friend Mr. Alex. Apparently his police contact came through on these small pieces of evidence, but what was held in the envelope disturbed him so much he simply went home for the evening and did not come back to the station. From what I hear, he's on medical leave.
Limey kind of raises an eyebrow. As he sort of reaches onto the coffee table and slides the envelope over to himself, he says, "That's funny. My story involves a photograph." And he sort of undoes the tie and shuffles the picture out and kind of glances up at it. What does he see?
I'm pretty sure you know, but to describe in awful detail, 2 photo printouts on A4 paper, black and white. They show a woman's body flayed and splayed over a crate that tops an alley. It's mostly just bloody, stretchy masses of skin that hang like sacks of gore, like plastic bags, actually, if you were to look at this. From the limbs and attached from the arms, legs, and whatever bones that this poor woman may have had, just simply go ahead and dangle from these plastic bags just full of meat. And it all seems not attached by wires, but attached by sinews and nerves to the main body mass on top. It's hanging like a bunch of wind chimes. This is a human wind chime.
Limey kind of looks at it, and he blinks. He doesn't look away instantly, but he puts the photo face down on the table and reaches into his pocket for a pack of cigarettes. And he lifts it to his lips. And can you make me a quick empathy roll?
Oh yeah, I can. 2. 1 success.
In that case, yeah, you won't get the sort of reference to it, but you notice that he's usually of a relatively cool disposition, and his hand shakes a little bit as he pushes across. sort of puffs on the cigarette thoughtfully for a moment. Well, Mr. Green, I've got some good news and some bad news.
I highly doubt that you have good news for me.
It's quite subjective, I suppose. Well, the bad news is that this looks like the information I was going to tell you. One of my boys, he was a little tweaked out at work. Says his friend showed him a photograph matching this description, and he sort of ponders for a moment. He says, "Good news is, my boy reckons he knows where this alley is."
Mm-hmm.
And well, I'm hoping. I mean, I've put my feelers out in case he comes up with nothing, and I'm hoping I should have the information by tomorrow.
That's fantastic. That's sort of what our little Nosferatu friend told me as well, simply that we've had a second killing. We don't know much about it. But this is an awfully bigger statement than the last one.
But that's the thing, right? They don't even look like the same style. I mean, this looks like, I don't know what this looks like, but it's a little more sophisticated than the first kill. You dig?
It definitely looks like whoever did this definitely took their time. There is definitely a surgical and medical precision and knowledge within this next presentation of the body. The first one was very, very simple. This one it's quite elaborate. It's disgusting. It's not it doesn't necessarily point to kindred involvement, but it's disgusting enough for at least us to notice it. And look at the way it's been drawn up. I've kinda seen that work.
Where have you seen that work?
I haven't seen this kind of work before. He goes ahead and taps on the envelope. But I know a way you could do it with Powers of the Blood. And you see Frank Green go ahead and spit those last few words out and have his stomach just churn, that undead vitae getting boiled over in his stomach.
Limey relights his cigarette because he's been a little bit too shocked to smoke it. Well, I mean, I've heard of this sort of thing before, you know. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. Powers of the Blood, I mean, ain't no Camarilla clan done this. This looks like Sabat, if anything.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say, but it definitely looks like a clan from that heretical sect went ahead and had a field day and just presented it to us.
Taking a piss. He kind of there's a note of dejection in his voice, like he's genuinely embarrassed. Like, New York was meant to be a Camarilla city. I came here because there were meant to be opportunities.
Yeah. That's what Jan always said it was. Said it was a bastion of civilization, a bastion of the Camarilla in the New World. But every single night we see shit like this.
Yeah, well, Jan Peterson's a fucking liar.
He is. I should have staked him when I had the chance. I really should have.
I mean, do we see him sticking around to clear up this mess? No, we do not. So it falls to us. the new kindred of New York City to try and pick up the pieces once again.
Definitely a city of opportunity, and definitely a city for the neonates to go ahead and show themselves.
You were about to say something, Ghost?
Ghost is. She's been listening, leaning forward slightly. She's now taken off her sunglasses and lowered her head now that we're out of sight of mortals. And you can see that she's healed some of the damage on her face, but it's still quite red. She doesn't really need to look at the image. She can get the grasp by what you two have said.
Frank Green is actually distracted from the conversation at hand and actually looks to Ghost. He's gonna go ahead and move himself, lean over to look more at this particular red mark and say, "Holy smokes, what happened?" He's actually taking off his sunglasses to show his glowing eyes and just looking at you. Holy smoke!
She sort of puts her tongue behind her teeth in an annoyed expression. You know, she's obviously irritable and not really wanted to talk about it, but she was. Mr. Peck's restaurant was booby-trapped. So we have two fucking problems.
Okay. Frank
Not,
Green sort of blacks off at this, going, okay, well, damn. I mean, damn. What kind of booby traps did he have?
A firebomb, for one.
Firebomb.
Yeah.
fucking hell.
That Kindred had a firebomb underneath our feet when we were having Elysium.
Yeah. It was in a coffin, a fake coffin.
Wait, what?
Myself and Lady Sheridan went down to check it out. Broke into the. We got permission to go and have a look around, snoop around the boiler room. It was abandoned, apart from a few security cameras. When we got down to the basement, the pantry area, where the last time I saw Mr. Peck was down there. Went into the back room, there was a coffin in there. Lady Sheridan very carefully opened the coffin, and it exploded.
Lucky to get out alive, man. Lucky to get out alive.
Especially because someone had put accelerant on the floor, and therefore the fire spread very, very quickly. I had to bash through several doors to get out. You have no actual grasp of how fun it is to try and break out of closed doors in a burning building.
I actually do know, and that's quite a terrible, terrible feeling to have. Oh God.
Do you reckon Mr. Peck's the one who put it there?
I don't know.
Did you find anything?
No. I'm not going to now, the whole place is burned down.
Well, there we go.
Well, that's yet another Toreador establishment going up in flames. The last time it was a nightclub. Now it's a restaurant. I think Toreador in this city may be a little bit too flammable for their own good.
In honesty, I thought the boiler room was a little bit too classy for that whole child road shit. Limey kind of gives a sardonic at his own pun.
Ghost sort of snorts a laugh.
I'm very, very glad that you guys found your way out, because that would have been terrible to lose you as well as Mr. Peck in the process, wherever he may be.
Well, finally the guy's booby trapped his haven apparently, so I'm assuming he's not around anymore.
Why would he do that though? Why would he not leave a message if he was leaving? I mean, I understand why he wouldn't talk to him. She starts a sentence and then doesn't finish it.
Ghost, what were you going to say?
Doesn't matter, but he should have left a note.
Well,
This
the
whole
last Toreador that left a
You could
note
roll.
after their establishment burned down happened to leave a note defecting to the other sex, so...
the thing is, I mean, I haven't claimed to know Mr. Peck in a personal capacity, but I mean, as far as his etiquette went, he's not the kind of man to just up and leave without saying anything. I
Sam,
mean,
if you want to make an empathy roll, you can.
I am going to make that empathy roll. All of the perception empathy.
Probably trying to hide it with manipulation, subterfuge,
Do I need to even roll for this?
Yeah. Ghost is
Fair
trying really
enough.
hard to conceal herself.
Spending willpower for an automatic success, because I really, really want to know.
Frank Green isn't all that bothered, so he won't.
She don't have that high of a roll, so it's fine.
2.
2 successes. How many do you get, Sam?
I got 2.
Defender wins!
Defender wins. Fuck.
She's covering herself pretty well.
Limey kind of gives her a suspect glance before kind of coming back to the matter in hand, and he says, Mr. Peck is, I don't know, is his, how to say, etiquette was very old school. He's not the kind of man to just up and leave the city with nothing to say for himself. You know what I'm saying?
Do we think he possibly defected to the Sabbat?
Limey kind of seems to think for a minute, and he says, Mr. Peck defecting to the Sabbat, I could see. I'm not going to lie to you, I could see it. But once again, I think if he was to defect to the Sabbat, then it'd make a bit more of a song and dance about it, you dig? I think we'd know all about it if Mr. Peck planned on defecting.
The last Toreador to defect happened to be Marquez, and he did leave a rather blatant message to anyone and everyone that he could grab. Mr. Peck, probably much more subtle than that.
It'd be more subtle, but I just get the feeling he'd make some sort of declaration. I can't help but shake it. He would, I genuinely feel as a matter of principle, want to let people know he was defecting.
What about this firebomb? Is that a message?
Maybe.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. The last time I had to deal with fire happened to be because of this crazy SOB. This crazy lone shovelhead in a hotel who had all this gasoline around him, all this accelerant around him, and he just lit a match and let it fall to the ground. The entire room caught on fire. Myself, Dr. Softly, even DuPont, all caught on fire.
Maybe.
All ran.
Why does it just feel, and pardon my pessimism, like They're being shit on from a very great height with very little power to do anything about it. I mean, kindred going missing, havens exploding in fire, defections to the Sabbat. No elders. How many elders do we have active in this city? What? One, two?
I couldn't tell you. They're all so much more interested in their politics and duties within the European states rather than looking after or at least checking in with New York. It's the nature of it.
Oh. And we had an Archon. We had a fucking Archon, Frank. What happened to him? Just turn his boat around and leave?
He came in, made a bunch of declarations, and he walked away.
Seems to be what Archons do these days. Fucking bureaucracy.
Limey kind of chews over his next words, and he turns around and he's like, almost makes you want to turn on. Almost.
Almost. Oh, that's the thing, my good sir. If you turned Anarch, or if anybody turned Anarch, I mean, if the Anarch sect appeared within New York, I don't think anybody would have noticed, or at least not known about it for a few months until after the fact. Well, I say that, and a lot of people have claimed themselves to be barons within New York, and a lot of them have been cut down as well.
2 seconds, guys. Sorry.
Trust me, Anarch is not the way to go.
It isn't?
No. It's
Really?
unorganized chaos.
Well, what do we have now but unorganized chaos?
It's more a game of it's like being caught between two worlds and in this constant gang war of who's the toughest and who can rattle their saber the hardest. It gets really fucking tiring, let me tell you. I didn't want any part of it.
Alright, I'm definitely making an empathy check for that one, because she got some history right there, son.
He's not trying to consider.
Whoa! 6 successes!
Wow.
Spill the beans.
You can tell that Ghost is being quite honest in what she says. She has some sort of beef about the Anarchs or something to do with what she
Oh, sorry mate,
saying.
you broke up big.
Um,
You mind repeating that?
where did he get up to?
She has some kind of beef with the Anarchs.
Yeah, she has some kind of beef with the Anarchs. She wants no part in the process of it. There is a tinge of pain, regret, that sort of that comes across in her emotions.
Limey kind of glances over Ghost, and then his mouth curls into a small smile, and then fades again. So, I mean, Anarchs aside, I mean, I know those leaflets were around a little while ago, but I don't think they were really Anarchs, were they?
Could have been. We've had the people from Staten Island go ahead and claim themselves to be Anarchs before it was revealed what they really were.
With more fire, I imagine.
Much, much more fire.
So, Mr. Green, I hate to put the responsibility onto you, but you're the sheriff. Like done.
Excuse me?
He said, "I hate to put pressure on you, but you're the sheriff. What would you like done?"
Mr. Peck situation. Well, since the boiler room is currently on fire, we're going to have to look into some other documentation he may have left around. I know for a fact he did have a wellness center he was trying to build up within Brooklyn. What we seem to have found was some sort of fake haven, or at least a coffin that was faked. Perhaps he went ahead and moved his actual sleeping place to the facility in Brooklyn.
Okay, alright. So
That's one.
if we can find out where this facility is, then I'd take it you'd like some snooping around done.
Definitely need to do some snooping around. Actually, that reminds me. He actually built that place over the grounds of one of my old clanmates. I know exactly where that damn thing is. Huh.
So what do you say? I mean, I've been propping up a bar for the past few nights, so I wouldn't mind doing a little legwork.
I think that's exactly what we need to do. Besides the scene that we have with the human wind chime, until we get that information, we'll have to let that settle. We'll have to get more information about the wind chime. Perhaps we'll get another lucky break. Perhaps this unfortunate soul happens to be a link to Dennis. We can start to bang out a pattern from there. For now, we need to find out Mr. Peck's holdings. We need to find if he had any ghouls, any of his servants, any of his followers, anything. Because we do not want a month down the line for one very, very frenzied and panicked ghoul to go ahead and make a fool of himself.
They do have a habit of doing that. Well, I am hoping to have the information on the human wind chime by tomorrow. So I'll let you know as soon as that comes to my attention. As for Mr. Peck's holdings, it's a shame we couldn't get hold of his computer or possibly the records of his company. But I suppose this stuff of his is the next best thing.
I
So,
could check in with his friends in high places, see if they've heard anything from him recently.
You say he had friends in high places.
Mr. Peck was the epitome of social decorum. Yeah, friends in some very high places.
I might have the same friends, at least.
He introduced me to some of them. Not me, but me in essence.
No, 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 no. I understand. It seems that he might have actually rubbed elbows with the upper echelons of New York. Fantastic. I have my own man up there. He owes me a few favors that I will have to owe him after this, but in any case, I'll see if I can't talk to my high society ally at least. See if I can't find some information on a big missing circle. Because that's the thing. When you go missing, you're never unnoticed if you're well connected. There's got to be a black spot somewhere that is being left vacant.
Can't imagine he'd want to drop all of his influence and connections.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll talk to my own people in the upper echelons, see what they know. I suppose between the three of us, we must be able to come back with something.
Yep, yep, yep. So, let me just ask you two, Bruja, just a simple question, and I'll see how this usually goes. I've been in this city for a while now, and I've just learned to go ahead and survive, but sometimes I have a problem picking up the morale of the city. What is our morale at the moment?
Limey kind of leans forward in his chair and kind of, for the first time you've seen, kind of drops his hat on the table. He sort of shifts his hair back and, frankly, I came to this city hoping for a slight change in morale, and frankly, it hasn't changed much in the last 30 years. New York is no exception to the rule. Pretty low, Mr. Green, pretty low.
Well, I think I did my job. I was simply sent here to go ahead and make sure to stay here in New York. Just be a good little boy. Just stand right there. And he's pointing just to a random spot onto the coffee table. Stand right there. Don't fuck up. Don't get yourself killed. Be a good little gangrel. Represent the clan to the Cammies. And I've done so. I'm surprised they gave me the sheriff's position, which heaped on a lot of responsibility to me. But it certainly secured our place. I mean, we have a primogen seat. Not any other city within the Camarilla can go ahead and boast that quite as easily.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like you've fit the bill rather nicely, Mr. Green. I mean, you've kind of seen, I guess you must have seen this city, well, in its heyday and in its decline. Not many other kindred can say they've been, and he sort of delicately puts the next word, he's like, incarcerated by the heretical Sabbat and lived to tell the tale. I'd say you've done pretty well, son.
I might have done pretty well, but the city certainly has seen better nights. I remember the heyday. I remember we had a full Primogen Council. That was awesome. Not anymore.
But what do we do?
Keep your head down. Stay alive. Cut the next person who thinks that they're going to take our territory away from us. Just keep your head down.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, the Sabbat, I mean, I know they're quiet at the moment, but how long until they take another shot at us? I mean, we've seen what they can do. There's no way we can take them on in one-on-one combat. There's no way the city's going to tear down that fort. What are we going to do, Green?
Limey, you take your head, you put it into the ground, you go ahead and keep your feelers up, your ears up, you keep aware, you survive. It's not always going to be like this. There's going to become a day when we are ready to take them on. It's not tonight, but it might be tomorrow night.
No. Keeping my head down to the ground and keeping the feelers up is kind of what I'm good at these days, so I guess I can do it for a little while longer. It's not like I'm going to die tomorrow.
No, but this is a siege. This is the siege of New York. Siege in Manhattan. It's happened time and time again within this city's history. This is how we originally got this city back into our control. We saw Manhattan. We took Manhattan and we held it with an iron grip until we were able to gather our numbers and force them out.
How did you force them out before?
I wasn't here.
Huh.
It was Wall Street. It was money. It was influence.
See, why couldn't it be that this time?
Don't know. It helps that you help grow a kindred population. It's something that takes time. We can't just randomly embrace people like some other sect, throw them at our enemies, expect the problem to go away. No, no, no. Takes a little bit of education, a little bit of selective breeding, maybe? I don't know.
Mm.
Sometimes I just want to go back to the clan and say, I did my job, I'm walking away from this.
I can understand that feeling, Mr. Green. But for what it's worth, and I hope you'll forgive my sentiment, this city would be just slightly less bearable if you weren't around.
Aw, thank you. What about you, Ghost?
What about me? Miles.
You're pissed off. I can see that.
It brought up some bad memories, so I'll be alright in a bit.
Memories.
Alright.
Well, friends here. Care to divulge?
She pauses. You can tell by the expression on her face she's sort of thinking about what to say and how to say it. Let's just say that my embrace was a baptism of fire.
Limey kind of looks up from what he's doing. Baptism of fire.
They killed my sire by setting him on fire and tried to do the same to me, and I woke up in a mortuary tray.
Who? Who did that?
Other anarchs.
See, they talk all this good shit, don't they, the Anarchs? They talk all this good shit about a free kindred populace and, like a brighter future built together. A load of old cobblers.
I didn't sign up for any of that shit. I was just a stupid girl who likes to take drugs and hitchhike away to parties. But anyway, I decided pretty soon after that I wasn't going to deal with any of their crap, and took my place back in London and was very happy with Mithras.
What part of
Yes.
London?
I lived in Croydon for a bit and then Hackney.
Hackney? No way. Brixton.
Hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't say that me and Mithras were on exactly speaking terms, but he seemed to approve of me.
That's it. That is exactly it. It's all about making it to the next night. Because in the end, you can do it. It's hard, but you definitely can. Just look at me. I think the only reason I'm still around is because I got a little bit of that unnatural resilience to me. And the devil likes his own.
Yeah. I don't know though. I shudder to think where we'd be if you didn't have that unnatural resilience about you.
It's something that I would teach to anybody. In fact, it's what I'm teaching to Elena. That was one of the first lessons I taught her. Resilience.
Resilience?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What, I thought we were speaking in less literal terms.
um. Okay. Well, I wasn't necessarily torched in my first few nights, but I was definitely tested. I was thrown off a cliff. My sire, being who he was at the moment, decided that he wouldn't have anything to do with me until I made it out of that particular part of the backwoods for myself. The only way I did that is by learning a few lessons. I learned how just to be resilient, just to have the fortitude to go ahead and take a hit and keep walking, keep moving. That's when you start to develop the mental fortitude about how in the world are you going to survive this night? How in the world are you going to keep yourself going? It's that morale. Because we're in a siege right now. And it's fine to have all the blood that we can, all the supplies that we can. But if we don't have a kind of working morale, working hope, just just a life within these walls, we're never going to make it. We have to find out what's really worth it, why we're still here, why we're still surviving in this siege. Because if we don't, if we sort of lose hope, if we sort of lose morale, these aren't walls to protect us anymore. These are walls to imprison us.
I'm just going to make a quick dice roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. There's a brief moment of Limey kind of looks at you with his mouth kind of half open, and then possibly for the first time you see him kind of give you this kind of, I don't know, like lopsided grin. And he sort of, you know what? There might be something to that.
You're in a wall. We're all in a wall. But we have to decide what that wall means to us, whether it imprisons us or protects us. And one day, when we finally get enough forces, enough people, enough power, we won't need the walls anymore. They won't be our prison.
He's kind of thinking about something, and it seems to be quite pleasant. And he sort of smiles and nods. I knew there was a reason I invited you here tonight, Mr. Green.
Even Ghost seems to be smiling a little bit now.
More than happy to teach you a certain amount of resilience to you. I could throw you off a cliff. It'd be fun.
I've never been thrown off a cliff. I don't imagine it goes very well.
Well, if you do me the honor, I'd be very, very happy to do so.
Once again, on the thing of a dice roll, kind of looks up. Yeah, alright, fuck it.
Perhaps when I'm a little bit more intact.
Perhaps when you're a little bit more yourself.
Yeah.
Did you happen to go alone, or by whose permission did you actually walk into the boiler room?
Well, Lady Sheridan called me, said that she'd had permission to enter and that the locks had been opened for her by somebody. So maybe the prince given her permission.
Alright, but go ahead and match up my notes with Mr. Silas next time I see him. Although the next time I see him, he'll probably be behind me. So that'll be interesting again.
Damn sneaky Nosferatu.
Alright. So the plan is we're going to try and investigate Mr. Peck's, this centre of his.
I wouldn't bet that isn't booby trapped as well. I'd be careful.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to walk in through the front door. I figure we'll break our way in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then, so that's that issue covered. I'll see if there's anything that can be recovered from the restaurant. Any computer files, any filing cabinets that didn't get completely burned up. And about this wind chime incident, as soon as I know anything more, I'll let you know, Mr. Green.
I think that the delivery company is worth looking up. I mean, I mapped out all the places that he was supposed to deliver to. Maybe some of the victims are connected in a way.
That is true. We do realize that that delivery that he had went to somewhere, a distribution center further on into the island. I'll go ahead and send some people over, and then I'll send some people over, and then I'll send my people over, and I'll send my people over.
Oh,
I'm trying to be as clear as possible, but it's just not coming out at the moment.
no, I'm not gonna lie. Crypticism was kind of part of my game, and I didn't get that.
I have some of my own people, some winos that I usually talk to every so often. I'll send them walking in that direction just to look at the distribution center. Then after a while, I'll go ahead and send some birdies around to do a couple of flybys, just to keep an eye on it, just to watch it, see if anything happens. I don't suppose there will.
And just out of character, Austin, do you know if transport influence affects like truck drivers and stuff like that?
Who?
Uh, well, this guy Dennis, like he's been delivering this stuff. I was wondering if transport influence might cover anything.
Transport influence, industry influence. That would definitely help. Some infrastructure as well. That would definitely help.
I've got a little bit of transport. I'll roll it. Sorry, I'll get back in character now. All right. Well, I've got a couple of friends who have a few fingers in a few different pies in the transport area of the city. And I'll put my nose to the ground, see if I can find anything out about them.
Well, I made copies of both of the maps that I found in the cabin, so I'll pass them along to you.
That'd be awesome.
Sounds sounds wonderful. I'll go ahead and take it and put it in with the rest of the building portfolio I have. I'm actually getting some use out of that office. That's fantastic.
Got an office?
Yeah, I got several offices. One at the seat of the Primogen, one on Sheriff Island, and I got a few scattered safe houses around Brooklyn that I don't get the opportunity to use very often simply because we've sieged up.
Yeah.
At one point or another, I have to introduce you to the offices in Venture Tower. It's been a while since I walked up those steps.
Venture Tower. I
Yeah,
never even got an invite.
no, you wouldn't. That place is completely vacant and empty. It hasn't been used since the Red Elysium. And afterwards was my coterie that went ahead and was commissioned to rebuild it. We did. It was fantastic, but we just never had a chance to use it.
Well, surely we should be using it more often.
I haven't seen a group of kindred actually come up with any sort of competency that I could trust with it.
Well, I mean, if our inquiries lead to some results and competency is proven to you, then maybe that building won't remain vacant for too much longer. Can you dig it?
I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. I'm more than willing to go ahead and throw those pieces of real estate at people and see what sticks.
Huh.
For now, my my night is running short. I'd love to shoot the shit with you all night, but I gotta go.
Nah, understandable, Mr. Green. Hey, look, thanks for stopping by. Like I said, I'll let you know if we find anything out. But you sure you don't want to sit and listen to the jazz for a while?
I'll go ahead and I'll take a seat in the middle of the room and enjoy myself for a while. Then I'll make my leave. How about that?
Yeah, great. I might join you. This band's pretty good. Ghost?
I'm gonna go see a man about a dog.
Limey kind of taps his nose. Yeah, right on, mate, right on. Anyway, shall we? Yeah, gets up and opens the door.
Yeah. Frank will go ahead and follow Limey before turning back and saying, and I was serious. I would definitely appreciate throwing you off a cliff.
And as Ghost walks up the stairs and out, and Frank and Limey make themselves comfortable at the table, Limey's eyes kind of head to the stage, and they light up in a way it's almost like he's listening to jazz for the first time in years. Yeah, it says, "Yeah, all right, yeah, let's do it."
Yeah. Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is where we end our scene for this evening. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Good night.